There was a white supremacist terrorist attacked two black people, ended up killing them in a Kroger in Kentucky. Very, very tragic event. Now, we want to show you the news clips because this particular story had made a few twists and turns. We're going to look into some of the social media postings of this guy that's the white supremacist terrorist. But let's go ahead and roll the clips.
69-year-old Maurice Stollard and 67-year-old Vicky Jones were shot and killed Wednesday afternoon. Police say 51-year-old Gregory Bush walked into the store and shot Stollard. Jones was shot and killed in the parking lot. The store reopened at 7 this morning. Customers can sign a book inside, sending well wishes to the victims' families. Those at the store this morning said they were still in disbelief that something like this could happen.
For an individual with that mental illness to that extent, still being out and free to wreak havoc such as that, something's wrong with the system. I don't know, something must be done.
He was here 10 minutes or so before the tragedy over at Kroger's.
Surveillance video from Wednesday at First Baptist Church Jeffersontown has been turned over to investigators.
He actually checked all of the front doors.
While Administrator Billy Williams says he can't release the footage yet, he says it shows Gregory Bush arriving at the predominantly black church at 2:37 p.m. He says one church member was sitting in the car in the parking lot and saw Bush.
He actually passed by her car, reversed it and backed up and looked at her face to face, and then proceeded to drive forward a few more spaces and parked in a parking spot.
Williams says Bush sat in his car for a minute, then gets out and checks each of the church doors, which were locked. Church officials say this is the third door that Bush tried to enter. He pulled on the door, knocked, then stood back, waiting for someone to open it. About 8 staff members were inside the church but didn't hear his knocking. Just an hour and a half before, 70 church members were inside.
But he stood there and he kept looking left and right over his shoulder. And he kept moving something around in his possession. So that's when I went back and I clipped that part of the video and I notified a member of the J-Town police staff.
Williams says the church has had cameras for 6 years, but upgraded last year in light of the 2015 Charleston church shooting, where 9 parishioners were killed in a racially motivated shooting.
In the last year, we've added 16 new views within the church and upgraded the cameras with a better quality of cameras on the outside of the church.
Williams says the 2 shooting victims were relatives of some of the church members. He says it's chilling to see the video of Bush on their security cameras, and the woman who spotted him has been traumatized. How has this changed your security procedures now?
Wednesday night, my pastor and I were already working to change our procedures. We thought we were in pretty good shape as far as security, as far as the doors are locked, the schedule is there. But we have members here, staff members here, that when someone approaches the church, they go and greet them and let them in. We're going to have to change that process.
He says surveillance footage shows Bush turning out of the church parking lot and in the direction of Kroger. And minutes later, 2 people were shot and killed.
Two counts of murder, 10 counts of wanton endangerment in the first degree. I have a written backfire order I'm asking Mr. Bush to sign, directing that no firearms during the pendency of this case. Additionally, I've prepared a written no contact order, no contact with any Kroger stores, including the place of violation, the Kroger's located at 9080 Taylorsville Road, no contact with the families of the victims, and no contact with any of the witnesses.
Mr. Bush, are you capable of hiring an attorney, or will you need the services of a public defender?
I believe a public defender.
Are you working?
No.
Do you have any form of regular income?
Disability.
Do you own any property?
No.
Public defender will be appointed. The bond is currently set at $5 million. I set that bond and it's going to remain the same. I believe you to be a danger. You are to possess no firearms, to have no contact with any of the alleged victims' families, and no contact with the place of violation, including any Kroger. The court date for your preliminary hearing will be November the 5th at 9 a.m. in courtroom 302.
Judge, considering his indigent status, would you consider some form of reduction for him?
I will not.
As you heard, he tried to go into a church first. He tried to do a Dylan Roof, but he could not get into the church. The church upped the security. They locked the doors, and he could not get in. So if he couldn't get into the church, he went to the Kroger and killed 2 black people, Marie Stallard and Vicky Jones, which is so horrible, so horrible. Now, he shot the brother in the back. The brother was with his grandson. They was going to pick up some poster board. And this coward ran and shot this brother in the back, killing him. His grandson ran, got the phone, called his mom. He ended up shooting his sister on the outside. Now, there was a clip that came out that everybody was talking about on social media, because at first they didn't want to say it was a hate crime, it was a white supremacist, because when they attack black people, they always say, well, I don't know if he's a white supremacist. Well, we have to really see. I mean, how do you know? I mean, they always trying to find every way not to say a white supremacist, because they already, when a white male do something to black folks, it's mental illness, that's all it is, and not white supremacy. Now, I want you to listen to this clip of the shooter engaging this man's father. Let's roll that.
Heard the sounds and just knew something was wrong by the panic that was going on.
Yes, he did. He said he could tell, he heard pops and he didn't think it was anything at first. And he said once he seen people become frantic, he knew the situation was bad. Pulled his gun out.
What did this man say to your father?
He said, please don't shoot or I won't shoot you. He said that whites don't kill whites.
As you heard him say, he told the other man, whites don't kill whites. So he is straight up a white supremacist. Oh, but it gets interesting, ladies and gentlemen. This man was married to a black woman at one point in time. Yes, he was married to a black woman. And we'll put up some social media posts to prove what we're talking about here. And as you can see on the screen, the first one says, I actually married a black woman and have a mixed child. I'm divorced now, but I saw many black men get very angry when we were together. The next one, I like Tyler Ennis, white dad, black mom, like my son. Another post, all lives matter, not just black lives. Prince is whack. Next post, it's been going on for some time now. Blacks and minorities being prejudiced to whites. It's the new hip thing, started with comedian 70s. So this all comes from his Twitter account. Now, he got divorced from the black woman in 2000. In court records, on one occasion, he called her the N-word and the B-word, and that his ex-wife wrote that he was paranoid and was put on medication. He stopped taking his medication. In 2003, this guy is also a pedophile. He pled guilty to menacing after he was accused of following a 15-year-old girl in the bathroom at a movie theater. The girl said he put his hands around her waist and told her he thought they were family, according to court records. The girl pushed him away, and he was later arrested. Okay? So, continuing. He said the gun he had was legally owned, okay? And there was a protective order against him in 2009, but the case expired in 2011. Now, this guy is just a repeat criminal. In 2009, he had a domestic violence case involving his parents. He pleaded guilty of 4th-degree assault and a WSA sentence to 275 days in jail, and all but 12 days he had already served suspended. He was also put on probation for 2 years. So he beat up his elderly parents, okay? He was a stone cold white supremacist, had a half black kid, and was married to a black woman. Now, 18 years later after their divorce, he goes and targets 2 black people. So some people may ask, how can a white supremacist marry a black woman? Very easy. I talked to you guys about this before. They will rationalize there's something about that particular woman, that one in particular he's with, that let him know it's okay to be hateful toward black people. And they will always test them when they start dating them. They'll start cracking these little jokes And they'll say, oh, it's just a joke to test the waters. That's what the white supremacists do. Because, the white supremacist is the grandest comedian in the world, okay? They belong on every comedic stage because they're just the biggest jokesters online. That's what they do. So they're going to test that woman and see if she's okay with his white supremacy. And if she laughs about it, or she's okay with it, or if she joins in with him discussing and talking about black men in particular, because that's what these white supremacist males do, because they are so intimidated by black men. The first thing they have to find out if this woman I'm fooling with is going to be on team white supremacy. And this is the dangerous part, what we're going to focus on here. I don't care what none of them say. I'm going to tell the truth here. Women naturally going to submit to a man. Women naturally is going to try to please a man. So if he is a white supremacist, then this woman has to go along with that. Now, maybe he got so crazy, and he definitely called her the N-word, the B-word. It got too much for her, and she had to get rid of his behind, obviously. But this happens all the time. So even with his half-black son, he still was making these comments online and still went kill 2 black people. So don't be surprised you see these white supremacist males can be with an actual black woman. Shoot, I could see Candace Owens with one of these type of guys. Wouldn't surprise me none at all. So, I mean, we shouldn't be shocked by that. And we have to understand the truth in that, period. Now, some people are going to try to say, well, you shouldn't be talking about this, talking about that. I talk about what I want to talk about on my channel. It is a serious topic that we have to deal with. 2 black people was killed. Forget your feelings. If you want to go deal with racist Brad, go ahead and do that. That's your life. I don't care. I'm talking about the people that's losing lives at the hands of these white supremacist terrorists that's out here walking around with guns. They say this guy carried a gun all the time. Everywhere he went, and he was dangerous. And that's all he did was hate black people. Y'all have to understand, white supremacy is the scourge of America. It's a cancer in America. Look at what they did in Charlottesville. Look what they do every day. They're the greatest threat in this nation. They are equal to ISIS in this country. They are. But the only reason they get away with it is because they are white males. If they were black males, it wouldn't be a problem. With all they behind to be locked up in jail. They wouldn't be getting away with targeted assassinations against black people. This guy has a $5 million bond, and he has 2 counts of murder and 10 counts of wanton endangerment. Jail record show. He's supposed to go back to court again November the 5th. We always have to keep our eyes open. We always got to keep our head on a swivel. Y'all watch these white supremacists everywhere they go. If they looking funny, watch them. Jesse Lee telling me, oh, if you see black people, get afraid. I don't get afraid of black people. I know what black people going to do. I know what Pookie and Ray Ray around. I know when they right, when they not right. I know if they're going to do something, they not do something. Trust me, I have no problem with Pookie and Ray Ray. I don't. But people like him, that's the ones I worry about because law enforcement don't do anything. Law enforcement be knowing what they say on social media. Don't do nothing. Facebook don't delete their accounts. Instagram, Twitter. If he's on YouTube, he can get away with saying certain things. They don't delete their accounts. The FBI don't go seize his guns or do anything to him. He'll go out there to Charlottesville, start fighting, and the cops will watch him. You remember Charlottesville, how they was doing all that fighting? And the cops just twiddling their thumbs watching it happen. But let black folks go out there and do anything. Protest for unjustified killing. And they ready to bring out the tanks and looking like Call of Duty Black Ops when they come out there, the police, when they come to black folks. And this guy was taken in alive after he killed 2 people. A black person barely flinched, and a cop is unloading 16 shots in him. It's amazing how, they say, well, the cops need training. They have perfect training. The training is no matter what a white supremacist do, no matter how many people he killed, he goes in peacefully. You don't kill him. It don't matter if he shoots cops. He goes peacefully. When a black person flinch, you should kill him dead. To me, that's the training they get. Because that's the pattern that I'm seeing. How is it that black people who aren't doing no shootouts are constantly being killed by cops? But white supremacist males like him can kill people and nothing happens to him. Nothing. He gets to go in, he gets to surrender, he gets to keep his life. But that's the America that we live in. It's full of white supremacy everywhere we turn. It is violent and it's dangerous. You see what the white supremacists did with the pipe bombs. but they're allowed to do this. But if it's black people, we can't even say support black-owned businesses on Facebook. You get your page banned. That happens to a sister. But they can talk about kill blacks, kill Jews, kill whoever else, and actually go out and do it, and then nothing happens to them. When black people tell you about white supremacy, believe black people. Always. We're always to believe because we have been suffering them for going on 400 years. Believe black people. That's why we created a new shirt called Believe Black People. Just like they say believe women, talking about believe all women, now forget that. Believe black people because we have more experience at being discriminated against, beat on, murdered, raped, everything when it comes to these white supremacists. We've been telling y'all about these people. And it's like we write all the time. I mean, this story is just sick. And of course, you know, as always, nothing's going to happen out of this. It's going to be go back to business as usual. He has mental illness. You know, we have to do something about mental illness. That's what it's going to be. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about this particular story. This brother and sister lost their life. Is extremely sad. You know, this guy tried to do another Dylan Roof style killing. I'm glad that did not happen. But this is just another day in America, ladies and gentlemen, who's watching throughout the world, the violence we experience as a people with the white supremacist terrorists.